Who would be a Wolves fan, eh?
A biscuit, please.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to your latest Wolves Fancast episode. I'm back. It's Lil Dan. It's been a long time coming. Unfortunately, Stu, the Fancast deviant, is running late this evening, so I'm filling in late with the hosting duties. We'll be talking about yesterday's boycott that happened before the match, the protest outside the Billy Wright statue before the game, before the defeat at home to Manchester United, and all the other things that have unfolded in the last sort of 24 hours and recently. On tonight's episode, I've got with me the likes of Luke, Adam Price, Rich from at Wolves_GK Shirts, and join us for the first time tonight, George Horton. How you doing, guys? Come to you first, George. How are you?
I'm all right. Yesterday was shocking, but I'm just numb to it now. Like, every game's the same, innit? Like, it's not really football we're watching. We're just watching a team get battered every week. Like, it's not competitive. So it's just, I'm just used to it now. But at the end of the day, like, I would say keep supporting them. But at the end of the day, these players don't seem to care a lot. And it's almost like we're paying all this money to watch absolute rubbish. So, football-wise, not great, to be honest. But it's just, I feel like we're all in the same boat.
What was your thoughts on the actual boycott and protests before yesterday?
Yeah, the protest before the game, obviously going in because it was quite an unofficial account. I went there because obviously, you know, I promoted it and I said I was going to be there, but I didn't expect too much to sort of happen. Remember sort of people saying, oh, that'll never happen. You know, you'll have 100 people turn up at Billy Wright statue. But let's be honest, 4,000 people, it's a good turnout. And considering a lot of people will be in two minds, obviously it's 6 o'clock, 6:45, some people will still be at work and that. It's a good turnout. And like, when I first got there, a lot of people not really singing. As soon as the first person started the chant, it all kicked off, and there was a good solid 15 minutes of just full-on chanting. Did it send a message? I don't know. The blind situation, I'm not actually sure that was the owners in there. That I feel like that probably was just general people in there. I don't know for certain, but I don't know if that's the actual case. But it was good. It was lively. You know, it was good to see the pack united, everyone there in their numbers. Great to see, and it shows that. I feel like at one point I was kind of thinking, you know, the fans aren't really making much of an effort to kind of. Obviously, there hasn't really been many opportunities. You know, the atmosphere has been a bit flat, and you feel like a lot of the fans that kicked off years ago had all been priced out. But I think tonight, the last night, kind of confirmed to me that, you know, the fans are still there and they still want to give it a go, and we do really want to get these owners out of the club. So yeah, it's good to see.
Yeah, I mean, you can see the picture on there on the screen, the amount of people that was outside the Billy Wright statue. George sort of quoting there, 4,000. It might look like 4 million compared to like a Tommy Robinson march. I don't know about you guys. It's a bit inconclusive, isn't it, the amount of numbers that was actually there. Adam, you was involved with the banners that was unveiled during the game yesterday. How did you feel the protest and the boycott went?
Yeah, so we went down just to see what was going on, and I like George said, then I think I got to about 1:45, and it was a bit, who's going to start it off, who's going to be the first one to start the chanting going. So it took a few minutes to tentatively get going, but I mean, let's face it, I mean, this was only organised in earnest really like back end of last week, wasn't it? So it was kind of hastily arranged, so you have to bear that in mind. But yeah, I mean, once it got going, it was like a steady stream of chanting. There was one flare identified. It didn't go up the arse like at the Euro final. It was just a standard flare. And yeah, the blinds thing was funny because I spotted that on the second video I took. It was like when the royals will like not want to see the peasants anymore, and they'll shut the curtains, close the blinds too. It was basically just like that. But we did pop off to the pub for a bit, but when we come back, it was still going. Even like way past the 15 minutes. I've read some articles about, you know, the coverage of the protests, and they just said it lasted 15 minutes. It didn't. It lasted a lot longer than that, to be honest. The songs kind of like change from anti-Fosun songs into general, Wolf songs, singing about the better days, like Neves and all the rest of it. So yeah, I think some different numbers attached to it as to who was there. No one's really going to know. It's just finger in the air guess, isn't it? But I think for the time, given the late in the day that it was kind of set that this was going to happen, I think it was a decent number for the fact that it was like I say, 3 days tops in advance that it was organised. So I think probably with a bit more organisation, the next one, if there is a next one, I'm assuming there will be, can be bigger. I know some people have some different views on protests in general. Some are all for it, some don't think it'll achieve anything, whatever. Each to their own. But there's quite a lot of people there that are quite happy to go out there and make their voice heard.
How frustrated are you personally with the people who didn't want to participate in the boycotts and protests? For me, it feels like the more we allow Fosun to take advantage of us, the decline is on a seriously uncharted path. I don't know how bad things can become under this current ownership.
Yeah, like I say, each their own, right? Everyone's got their own view. I mean, I was standing out there with the people I was with. There was like two people who like made comments to the coppers passing, and they were both kind of like old chaps who were saying basically, don't all these fans know they're just making it worse for themselves. And then the next one said something like, oh, but all these fans have only been supporting Wolves since Fosun turned up. Pretty like dismissive remarks, really. They don't really capture the vibe, to be honest, of what was going on. And I think they're wrong anyway. I mean, protests, it is what it is. I mean, people say it won't change anything, but it's just about, it's like you say, how bad does it have to get for you to start saying something, doing something, expressing your anger or your frustration? And look, no one's under like the illusion that one protest will suddenly like make Jeff see the light, Jeff see the light, and say, oh, do you know what, boys and girls, I'm completely wrong. You know what, I'll start investing there or I'll step aside. No one's that delusional, but it's a start. It's a start of ways of expressing frustration, and there are other ideas down the track. I wasn't involved in planning this protest, but there will be other ideas coming down the track of other things that we can do to get the message across, in banners, case in point, and other things, that people are putting out there. I've seen a lot already online. So, if people don't want to do it, that's fine. You can't make people do it, but you want to be on the right side of history, don't you? When you look back in years to come to say, yeah, I lent my voice or I did something to try and make a change or show my frustration to what I clearly see is the club going one way.
Yeah. Luke, as a man, friend, accomplice in certain times, AFC Wolves have got a plan, which you consistently talk about. What was your sort of feelings on the protest and the way it unfolded last night?
I thought the numbers was good. I think there was too many people still in the ground between 8 and 15:15 for my liking, but I'm not a season ticket holder anymore, so I don't really want to point fingers at the fans too much because they're still there doing their bit. But for me, I just don't see Fosun changing because they just don't care. They just simply do not care. But like Pricey just said, if there's other things in plan for further down the line, because we can't just stop at this now. Like, this has to continue game after game after game after game after game. Because for me, the change has to be made. Jeff Shee is leading this club one way, and it's not going to end well. Like we spoke about in the group many times. What is Fosun's plan? what is Jeff Shee's plan? What's the strategy? What's the philosophy? What's the vision? What's the mission of the club? I know they haven't got to tell us these answers, but to me, it looks like they haven't got the answers, so they couldn't tell us anyway. We're just being led down shit creek without a paddle, and it's concerning. You know, when you look at the team and on the pitch, we're miles off it. We're actually miles off it, and it's so embarrassing to watch. And whether the players are trying or not, you kind of feel a little bit sorry for them because they're being ripped open week after week after week, and it comes as no surprise. You know, we'll get onto it later when you look at the players that have been sold and then the players that have been brought in. It's always it's a recipe for disaster. You're getting rid of Champions League level players and replacing them with, questionably, are they even footballers? Let's be brutally honest with some of the lads that have come in. But for me, the fans, we've just got to keep on it now. The ball's rolling. This first demonstration, protest, whatever you want to term it as, was the hardest one to get going. Now the ball's rolling. Hopefully, we can pick up some traction. And if Jeff isn't going to come out with any answers or have any sort of discussions, we've got to keep applying the pressure.
Most definitely. I think the whole issue I have with Jeff Shea in the last few years is that everything is reactive. It's never proactive. The summer transfer windows year on year have been atrocious. We always leave things till the last minute in the window. Everyone knew sort of January, February, March time latest that Cunha and Aït-Nouri were likely to go in the summer, and we've replaced them with, you said it politely, Luke, but bags of shit, to be honest.
Yeah.
And I have a degree of empathy for the players. I feel like they've been given an uphill battle to try and compete in this league, but this is why we've got that Moxie t-shirt for sale on our merch store. He's a money man. He's another accountant. He hasn't got a football mind, football brain. He's not going to be able to carry us on any further. He said in the Revolution of War's book with Johnny Phillips that Nuno's style of football was lucky and unsustainable. And for me, I said it a while back that I think Jeff Shee's been lucky as a chairman of a football club. Without George Mendes, Nuno, Neves, Jota, Bolly, Cavallero, Costa, they don't play in the Championship. They were too big a name, too high profile, high prospects to even take that step down. So I can't put a flag down in any aspect for what positivity Jeff Shea has done for this football club. He may have used Fosun's funds, but for me, Jeff Shea is the most luckiest person that's come out well from this, because to a degree, he may still have a future in some form of industry, whether it's not, I don't think it'll likely be football, but he's clearly got a way of expanding the exposure of a commodity like Wolves. But for us as football fans, he's completely just turned us into a shit show. And I think the last transfer window specifically is going to really hurt us for a good number of years now, unless we start putting a 3-5 year planning process from this January transfer window. We may have to take a hit on the likes of João Gomez, Andre, maybe others who have got so-called sort of high value in the FFP, PSR book, whatever you want to call it. What was your thoughts on the protest, Rich? While I've got you here, I've got you sort of joining us in a moment.
Yeah, it's much needed. I don't think we can do much more anymore. We've put up with enough over the years where you can see the decline of the club. It's, each transfer window, each season, year on year, you sell your best talent to, around the country. And what do you expect? We've done well in replacing them, and with a bit of luck here and there, getting those gems, which unfortunately we've sold a year or two later on when they've proven it again with us. But unfortunately, that decline is a decline, and it's a slippery slope, and we really are on the downward spiral. And it's just shit to see, isn't it, again, But this time around, it's embarrassing. We've lost games before, don't get me wrong. It's not something new to Wolves or being relegated. We've been relegated multiple times, but to be bottom of the league, 2 points, drift by an absolute bloody country mile. It's just frustrating. There's nothing we can do other than, try and do what we're doing now. It's the protest side of it, because it's got to be heard, and hopefully they're listening finally. But if they're not, then it's going to have to continue until something happens, and the snake gets his head cut off. Hopefully, fingers crossed.
Yeah, it's a long way back to those lofty European nights we had 4, 5, 6 years ago. Whatever, 6 years ago was it now? I can't remember. It's that long ago. Sutty, obviously, everyone's aware of the work that you've been putting in recently, trying to get fans back in protest, letting the club know of the disdain that we hold for them currently. How did you feel the protest and the boycott went last night?
First of all, apologies for jumping on here late, a few technical issues. Nobody really knew the numbers that would turn up. Let's be honest, it was a concocted protest done hastily that in the end that had thousands there, which I thought was really good. Yeah. It shouldn't be that, and that's it. It needs to be ramped up every time with different plans, different protests. Look, I've been very critical of this chairman and this ownership model for 4 years. From the lucky times that we had Nuno, apparently it was luck. There was no planning, and it was just luck. For me, it's been year on year managed decline. And the proof is in the pudding now. We've circled the sinkhole for 3-4 seasons now at time. Well, 3 definitely, and it's caught up with us because without a plan, you will drop. And the biggest fear I have now is that with the transfer window we had last summer, which Jeff went public and said, yeah, it was 90% of everything we wanted. Well, excuse my French, but Jeff's fucking deluded because this squad of players are going to be worth virtually nothing apart from 2 Brazilians and a Norwegian babby ass that throws his toys out the pram. And if it was me, like I've just heard you say, I think we have now got to start planning long term in the transfer window to make sure that we don't drop again. Yeah. Because it's just as likely we drop again as we come straight back up. Because
the toxicity the toxicity that's growing right now, Sutty, we've seen it before. Wars are the sort of club, and the toxicity is rife. Back-to-back relegations is more than feasible. We talked about the players there, the Brazilian lads, Larson, whoever else is high value. Come the summer window, the club needs gutting because the players that'll be left after those so-called high-value players leave, I've got no affinity to. I don't back them in a current climate to be competitive in the Championship. There's a loser mentality within that squad, the club as a whole, and it's been growing year on year. Only teams having point deductions like Everton and Forest, some really poor promoted teams have stopped us from getting relegated in recent years, and unfortunately, the time has come to roost in relegation, hasn't it?
Well, I said last night that I'm probably the oldest on this panel by quite a way, and I did my first game in 77, 78 as a 7-year-old little lad, and pro rata. Obviously, in 48 years, I've seen some shit at this football club, but pro rata on costs of players, what I witnessed last night, and you might think I'm being stupid here, but what I witnessed last night is quite possibly the worst squad of players with the worst mentality I've ever seen. Now, I got criticised for saying that last night. Oh, you remember the Batty brother days? I do, but what you got to remember is I'm saying for what we've paid for them, this is the worst squad of players in 48 years. They are shit. They concede a goal, and you can literally see their arses fall out of their pants. There's no bottle. they're all already plotting their own routes out of here because nobody wants part of this.
Yeah.
Because you've got a chairman up there that tells you that don't try and, if you want to come here, you're not coming here for success. What we're going to try and do, make a few quid out of you. We'll be happy. You'll be happy because you'll go to what's deemed a bigger, better club. And it's a rinse and repeat cycle all the time. And it's fucking caught up with us because we are going to go down as the worst Premier League club on record. So just let that sink in. Derby, 11 points, 2007, 2008. And I just cannot see us beating that points total because come January, they will have to have a fire sale. We've got Arsenal, Brentford, Man United, Liverpool, Man United, West Ham, Everton, Newcastle. That takes us up to, I think that takes up to game 22. I'll have a wager with anybody here now that we're still on 2 points after game 22.
That's the issue, isn't it? The next win seems unfathomable at the moment, and then you're looking for at least another 9 draws to get to reach Derby's record. It's embarrassing. This is for me. I understand everyone has to make their own decisions and whatever with regards to the protests and the boycotts, but when you hear things like what I've just said there, the fact that Wolves have gone 8 defeats consecutively now for the first time since 1982, and year on year we've been selling our best players. Captains have left year on year. Stadiums falling apart. They managed to flick a bit of paint in areas where what can be seen on TV, but not from the ring road. If you have a proper look at it, it's embarrassing. And for you as a supporter to keep funding this ownership by wearing pseudo merchandise, buying match day tickets. There's a lot of people who obliged now. You've paid your season ticket up front. I'm one of them. You've got to go. But when you have a chance to make a stand like last night, just boycott, just give 15 minutes of your time to try and make a statement to make the owners aware. For you not to get involved, and then, like others have mentioned, to actually ridicule those people who want to make a stand. I can't get my head around it, but I'm an only child. I'm sports. I'll do what I want.
I said last season when the season ticket price was hiked, and I did say last season, one season of no kits being sold or any merchandise will make these bastards sit up and think they're not for messing with. Just one season, wear your old retro shirt, anything. Just do not buy anything from. And I was laughed at. And now look at the shit show we're in. We're in big trouble. Mark my words. We're not going down with a rosy spreadsheet here. We're in trouble.
Yeah.
Well, did you see
there's no way of buttering this up?
Did you see the thread that Spillard put out about the player transfer fees and wages, and then not many players, if any, are going to have relegation clauses in the contracts? We're fucked. Yeah. Because these players hold no value now. They hold no value. Even when you're looking at Andre and Gomez, who you'd like to think probably our most valuable players, when you get relegated, no one's coming in 40, 50 million for them. Not a prayer. If we get 30, I think we've done well. So the hit that we're going to have to take financially on transfers is it's fucking criminal. It's incompetence of the highest level. Now, we're all pointing the finger at Jeff, rightly so. But you have to look at the team that Jeff's built around him as well. What have they been doing? What have they been passing to Jeff to sign off? What are the conversations that they're having in the boardroom? Like, I just don't understand. I just don't understand what they're doing. And it's hard for me to articulate it because it just makes no sense. How can you be the leader of a multi-million-pound organisation and have zero plan, have zero identity, well, I'm not saying they've got zero structure, but there's just so much that's missing. And you just have to ask yourself, how and why.
I think the plan, Luke, was pretty much reliant on the 3 promoted teams to be awful again. That's the only thing I can sort of chuck a bit of dart at, really.
Anyone with half a brain knew Sunderland and Leeds were going to come up with momentum, with the crowd behind them. Their fan bases will get them an extra 12 points a season, the same way that our fan base do when we're on side and we're fully behind the team. Anyone with half a brain could see that. And the problem we've got is Jeff hasn't got that half a brain from a footballing point of view. Now, that's not a problem, because if he's a good businessman and he's growing the brand and he's creating multiple arms of this organisation that's bringing in multiple revenue streams, absolutely fantastic, because that's how business and that's where football is going. But if you don't understand football, because you don't necessarily have to understand football to lead a football club, but the people around you, you need to have people that do. And I don't know the people around him if they do know football, but the way the club's going and the decisions that have been made indicate to me that no one's got a fucking Scooby.
You know what's worse as well, right? This is the level that we've sunk to, especially for this season. That our leader has basically benchmarked us at 17th. Gone, well, as long as the 3 that come up are shit, then I'm happy with that. That's the level that he's dropped us to now at the minute. And I've always called him the Chinese Mike Ashley, because Mike Ashley did similar at Newcastle, didn't he? He was like, I'm not putting any money in, I don't have to. As long as there's 3 worse teams than us, then I'm all right by that. And that's where he is now, and which is bad, but he's actually basically admitted it in public, in articles, to say, well, actually, I've actually been a bit surprised that the 3 that have come up aren't as bad as the 3 from last year. And we're supposed, and look, and again, you look back to where we were 5 years ago, pre-COVID, and now we were at the top of that roller coaster, loving life. And that's now 5 years is where we are now. 4 or 5 years, we've gone, well, if the 3 that come up are shit, then I'm happy with that. We'll finish 17th. And then you talk about values there, like at least with players like João Gomez, Andre, they're young enough to actually have at least some value. Look at the likes of what we've spent on Marshall Monetzi and John Arias, who are at the prime of their careers. Arias is what, 28? Monetzi's 29 or just about to turn 29. Considering what we've paid for them and then what they're allegedly on, these are supposed to have been players who were bought in to just go right into the first team and go and fly. They're supposed to have been at the level, not like a young 21, 22-year-old who may need a season. This is how bad our skating's been. With players like Monetzi and Arias have come in, they're supposed to have pushed us forward. They'll have no resale value. All if we go down, Arias will probably have make an escape back to Brazil, but we'll be stuck with players like Monetzi for the championship. And like you say, with the plan, they're just that's all that Jeff's plan has been the last couple of years. It's just, I don't want to put any more money in. I just want us to finish 17th so I can keep the TV money rolling in, and then we'll just go through that purgatory year on year. And of course, it's nearly caught up with us last 2 out of 3 years, hasn't it? When we've had to get big name, get Lopetegui in before January window, we go on a trolley dash, and then we've got Vitor in, and then did the same again in January, go on a trolley dash to stay up. We just now, with Cunha and Nate Noura going in the summer, those are the final straws that's broke the camel's back, that we've got no player of value left in the squad now. And it's finally caught up with him, this strategy of just trying to do the bare minimum. And let's face it, we're paying more for our season tickets than we've ever paid before to watch this car crash unfold in front of us week after week after week, or for the last few years. That doesn't piss off enough people. I don't know what. The fact we're paying more than ever to watch this.
Yeah, I'll just add on to that. Going on to transfers. Obviously, as fans, we got very excited by Vitor Pereira. You know, we had the 6 wins in a row. We were loving life. But yeah, Vitor's the man to take us forward. But we're fans. We're not paid a lot of money to make those decisions. So why did I look at Vitor's track record of clubs and think, oh yeah, we're going to trust this guy. We're going to let him bring in a sporting director, all these new coaches. Every signing he makes, we could have signed Harry Wilson, could have signed Walker Peters. You're telling me Jackson Tachoa is better than Walker Peters? Are you having a laugh? It's like all these players they bring in, Vitor wants these physical big lads, and like they're not Premier League quality players. That's on the owners at the end of the day. They said to Vitor, you can sign who you want. And now we've got a manager in who can't play with those players. He's having to play Vitor's style of play, and he can't do it. And to be honest, I actually think against Tottenham and Brighton and Everton, that run of form, we're playing a lot better than we are now. Vitor had given up by the Sunderland game. So what's happened with the transfer is an absolute disgrace. I mean, Moller Wolf, like, what does he offer? To Choa, he can't pass. I mean, the whole Vitor Pereira situation with the contract, mate. I mean, as I said, like, as fans, we wanted him to stay, we wanted to back him, but we're not paid all that money to do it, are we? So that was an absolute joke, like giving him all that spending power, and then you give him spending power. You didn't give it Lopetegui back in the other seasons. I don't know, man. But that's what I mean. Just the incompetency of these owners. Like, you can't make a decision like that and just expect to, like, the fans to be happy. You mentioned the season ticket prices, yeah. A Chelsea fan commented on one of my videos the other day. He pays less than what we do, and that's a Chelsea fan. Honestly, like,
it's disgusting.
Yeah. There's too much to talk about. Like, we're probably doing, 2-hour show, something like that. You don't have enough time to talk about it all. What they've done. Someone comes up to me yesterday, goes, like, my dad doesn't agree on your points on Jeff Shee. I was like, that's fine. If you want to get mugged off by Jeff Shee, be my guest. But I'm not standing for it. There we go.
Yeah, we shouldn't be spending our Tuesday evening talking about how bad our football club is. We've never demanded war chest. We've never demanded. I never even dreamt of demanding a João Moutinho signing for Wolves. That caliber of player. All I want is a team to be proud of, to actually feel like when I go to work Monday to Friday, the team I'm going to see on Saturday is worth giving my time and energy up for. And it hasn't been anywhere near that level for a good few years now. And like I said, I'm concerned with the trajectory that we're going, because the way that this chairman has run this club into the ground, back-to-back relegation next season is fully on the cards if we don't put some serious, solid plans down with a whole new hierarchy for me. Going back to the protest yesterday, sort of even things like sort of turning the TVs off in the concourse, the amount of fans that was outside, stayed in the concourse. What is the next step that you want to see? What is the message that you want as a minimum, sort of? Because for me, the minimum before anything else even has to be discussed is the removal of Jeff Shee.
Yeah, Jeff's not going to talk to us. I went public on him last night, and Jeff's not going to talk to us. Jeff's a dictator. You've got to remember that anybody that tries to sort of do anything good under a dictator, you'll see them as a threat. So I'd love to think that Jeff was actually watching me again tonight, because he must absolutely fucking loathe me. But the feeling, to be honest, is quite mutual now, because he's raped and pillaged our club. I'm not saying, you see, people get on to me. How do you mean he's raped and pillaged the club? Well, you see, what they've done over the years, they've been very clever with our football club, because our badge is the most renowned club badge in world football. You don't even have to have any writing around it. Everybody knows what that club badge is. No writing around it. It's simple, it stands out, and it gets noticed. No matter where you go on holiday, if you see that badge on somebody's chest, you know they support the Wolves. And there's not a lot of other badges around like that, but they've used that badge, and they've used us in the Premier League for very cheap advertising worldwide. They have saved an absolute fortune. So when people keep saying to me, you do realise they bankroll us 30 million a year just to keep us afloat, they may well do. But let me tell you now that the money they have on worldwide exposure through the Premier League, through this football club, as Fosun International, is monumental. It is huge savings for them. So that club badge means everything to them. Yeah. Us as supporters don't. So I think we've got to really ramp this up on the next one. We're going into meetings to discuss again. Adam, myself, and others will be getting our heads together to see what we can do next. Yesterday was the start, and I think as a starting point, it was very, very good. We've got to get other people on board. It's pretty obvious. They know who I am, Dan. They know who I am. They pull me at every turnstile now. They know what I'm going to do. I still manage to do it because I've got people with me doing it. So I try my best not to carry things in. And it needs more than me to do it. I mean, if you're going to go, I'm just going to put it out there for people now. The structure of taking a flag in is it can't be a politically based flag, and it can't be any bigger than 3 foot by 5 foot. So my flag that you've all seen, that's based on the flag of Taiwan, that isn't the flag of Taiwan, cannot be deemed political. The only thing they can kick it out for is that it's too big. So I urge everybody, if you want to use the design of my flag, I'll give you the name of the company where I had it done. Screenshot it, do whatever you want with it. Don't have it made any bigger than 5x3, and you can get thousands in there, and there's not a thing they can do. It's a bit like the design of the flags, the banners that you were kind enough to help out with. Had they kicked up a fuss, they were all detachable 3x3 sections, and if 6 people were holding them, you could have held them up all game. There's not a thing they can do. So it's knowing the product, what you can take in, and take it from me. I was ridiculed when people said, "What the FNL is a flag of Taiwan going to do?" They ain't gonna be bothered about that. They will be bothered when there's thousands of flags that look like Taiwan with the wolf crest on being aired all around the world. The Communist Party of China will not like that, and they'll get their asses pulled in for a meeting. We've got to make it really, really uncomfortable for them. You change tact now and stop this self-sustainability bullshit that's got us in this position, or you ain't going to get in this club. It's going to get nasty. It will get nasty at some point if they don't come to the table and start telling us what the plan is. If they're not going to go, we're stuck. So we want to know the plan. Don't go quiet on us. Tell us what your plan of action is. Tell us. Don't go quiet. The worst thing you can do.
I think Steve White, 89 in the comment section, saying, can we talk about something fairly dark? Their investment in this club is chicken feed to Fosun, and they could easily wind this up as a tax write-off. That's why they're so dangerous. If you see the way they handled things with Thomas Cook, there is a worry. Has to be subtly that this could go really south for Wolves pretty quickly, as we're not being a big commodity in their portfolio of companies.
It could do.
Would the FA and the Premier League allow that?
You'd expect some sort of government intervention, wouldn't you, if it got anywhere near close? You know, Wolves are founding football club in the football league.
This is one of the most
massive
important
city,
clubs in world
big
football.
fan base across the world.
I think if they did that, you may as well just pick your own coffin out, because you would not get out of the city. They would not get out of the city if they went to them lengths and fucked the club over like that. They would never get out of the city. Because one thing I will say about Wolves fans is you don't take the piss too much, mate.
I think we've been very patient, to be honest.
Oh yeah,
I think people nowadays,
majorly.
I think people are that apathetic and or afraid of losing their season tickets through football ASBO orders and all the rigmarole that goes with it now. I think a lot of people just can't risk being a part of a football club.
There is an element to that, Dan.
Mental
I ain't got a season ticket. I don't give a fuck.
There is an element to that, Dan, because like when we got the banners up yesterday, we had to shift it along a little bit, because the one person who didn't want to be seen to be holding it, because he was scared they might pick him out and on the cameras and lose his season ticket. Obviously, we told him otherwise. But he said exactly is. There's nothing on there to get you kicked out, but whatever, it is what it is.
All I'll say to that is, all I'll say to
take
that
you out
is
and ban you.
quickly,
Go on.
just quickly, and I'll let you speak. All I'll say to that is, if they ban you for having a viewpoint, you will become almost martyr-like, and there will be uproar. So they're better off letting you stay in and have your little protest. Now, I've got people around me that didn't want nothing to do with holding that banner. Not that you could see people shying away, thinking, "Fuck that! I ain't holding that up."
Yeah, same for us.
Now, that would never have happened years ago on the South Bank, would it? Let's be honest. Everybody had been clamouring to hold it up, and they've got people running scared. These lot. But it's time you got to stand up a little bit and say, what we want is dialogue with you. If you're not going to go, if you're not going to sell, it's your club. Legally, it's your club. You own it. It'll always be our club and our team. But what is your plan? What are you going to do with this football club? Where is the 5-year plan? What do you expect to achieve at this football club? And if they can't give you answers, then we got to ramp it up again, and we may well piss them off to the point where they mothball it. But we're going down anyway. We're going down anyway. So you might as well go down with a fight.
What have we got to lose now, really?
Exactly. People are concerned about look at the power they hold over us. They could ruin us. Well, what's the current direction of travel at the minute? It's a hard downward spiral is where we're going at the minute. And we've said here already. We said already, haven't we? What if we go down, right? I've said it as well. Others have said it. Another double dip is on the cards. The way it's going. So I've got no faith in the right players being bought. Anyone wanting to join us. The quality of our squad is so low. We're going to go down again. So that's another hit. So what exactly are we trying to keep by not doing anything about it, by not protesting or not trying to take some sort of action against them? Because it's so funny because like we talked about, like, you know, so he's talked about the Taiwan flag, and we've talked about other things. You know, we could have a sea of South Bank being full of half Taiwan flags, half Winnie the Pooh flags. If you want to know what I mean by that, Google Winnie the Pooh China, you'll see what I mean. Yeah. And some people have gone, like, some people have said, but we shouldn't be getting political, or, you know, we don't want to offend them or anything. And you're thinking, they've had us as fans on strings for 4 years, right? Increasing their ticket prices year after year, managing the decline of the club, and people's first reaction is, I don't want to offend them. It's like the gluttons for punishment. Like,
has the team's performance since April not offended your eyes?
Exactly, yeah. And, like, you just balance as well. How offended is that?
It's like what they've done to us as fans for like the last few years, and people, like, you're supposed to just sit back and just take it and not do anything about it. Like you say, we've not been an issue up until now, us as fans. You know, we've flirted with relegation the last couple of years. We've still backed the team when Lopetegui come in, when O'Neill come in, when Vitor come in, and he had a good start. You know, we've been kind to the club and the people that have come in, but now I think, you know, the good guy act has not got us where we want it to go. So that's why now people, you know, like Sutty, myself, and others, of course, you know, we're looking at things we can do now to get their attention and to just really ram it home to them what our feelings are and what we want from them. If they've got a plan, let's hear it. Let's see what the grand plan is of what the path is for this club now. Next year will be the 10th year, won't it? So
their luck's run out, though, isn't it? You know, bringing in Lopetegui and O'Neill and obviously Pereira, that worked. It worked for a short period of time where things then uplifted and that. It's such a shit show at the moment with the squad and the way it's been financed for the last 3 years. The decline has been so big and the drop-off's been so big. Edwards hasn't got a fucking open hell, has he? Like, what can he physically do? You can see him sat on the sideline scratching his head going, what have I done here?
Yeah.
Like I've made the biggest mistake ever, and what can we do? We can support the bloke all we want, but he's not got the ability to change this around with what he's got in his squad. The squad's a joke. Obviously it's run by a bunch of clowns basically that have clearly no idea how to run a football club, and are quite happy to clearly lose millions. They not realise when you get relegated, you lose money. Like if they sell it last year, they probably get a good premium on a Wolves badge. But
This
you're not going to
for
get any
me is
premium
why
on it.
Jeff Shea has to be removed immediately, because I'm still of the impression that he has hoodwinked the owners into thinking things aren't as bad as they are.
Mm.
And then when you see that first,
Embarrassing, to be honest. I mean, you look at a Manchester United team, let's face it, under Ruben Amorim, aren't impressive. They had a few good games. And let's be honest, yesterday they were there for the taking. So were Crystal Palace, so were Forest, so were Villa. But teams know they can turn up and play against Wolves, not have to play well. They can sit back, soak up the little bit of pressure that we may give them, and then they can put in 50% effort and get the goals they need and get the win. Because quite frankly, with the easiest team to play in the Premier League, I mean, for that goal, I mean, it's just shocking. Honestly, what's Agbadou doing? What's Johnston doing? It's like the lack of communication. Bruno Fernandes falls over. Agbadou, sweep it up. What are you doing? But it's just like, people can blame the players. People can say the players are lazy and don't want to be there. You know what? Fair enough, because that's true. But if they paid us, we play. So at the end of the day, like, it's the owner's fault. It's the recruitment's fault. That comes from above. And let's be honest, when you sell all your stars, and as Sutty says, you sell your stars, replace them with rocks, it's just, you're going to keep going down and down and down. As you said, Matthias Cunha, we knew he was going from March, and you signed him with a guy who's never played in a top 5 league before. Completely embarrassing. I mean, going on back onto the protest, after all the things we said and all the things we explained today, half the South Bank at 15 at the start of the game was full. I would just ask why you're in the ground. Fair enough, you got personal reasons. Fair enough, but realistically, unless you want to keep getting mugged off by these owners, and keep getting taken the mickey out of, if you want something to change, then protest. You can't moan. You can only moan if you protest. That's what I'm saying. I've had enough now. At the end of the day, it's just, we talked about the football club. And we talked about Wolves fans. Wolverhampton as a city, there's not a lot going for it. This football club is the main thing about this city, and it's so sad to see. It's the heart and soul of the city. Other cities have other things going for them. This club is massive. You're talking revenue. Premier League football brings in so much revenue into the city, and it's just like, it's killing us. It's affecting people. People are going to lose their jobs and all sorts. So just protest, people. Honestly, just do it.
yeah, I'll have to touch on that for a moment, because obviously there was the discussion about boycotting the first 15 minutes last night. So I decided to go and grab some food at a reputable clown fast food restaurant that everyone knows on the high street at 8 o'clock, and I thought I'd walk down from there. The high street's an absolute shambles. The whole city centre is more shut than what's open now. The bar revenue that's going to massively decimate when we get relegated is going to hit a lot of people work wise. It's a shambles. It all falls from the mismanagement at the guy at the top of this football club. And you look at that first goal last night, it was just another comedy of errors. Going back to even like last season, you talk about like Craig Dawson scoring 2 own goals away at Everton, and just how much of a club that we've become. And I need to just implore to people that you need to start backing the protest more. Otherwise, things are only going to get worse. There's already murmurs that the season ticket prices are going to be frozen again in the summer. 7.35 in the South Bank's already too expensive for what we're being offered on the pitch. I think it's like 9.39, isn't it, or something like that in the upper Billy Wright price in there. £71 match day tickets it was for Category A the other night. How you can keep backing this club? It's not about turning on the team. You have to take a stand against the ownership, otherwise things are only going to get worse. I can't really say much more. Anyone else want to take the floor just to reiterate what I'm saying there?
I'll say one thing and I'll shut up. I think yes, they're kind of demonstrate to the kind of wider media, because I think it's a massive game, you know, Man United, Monday Night Football. I think other fans of other clubs are beginning to realise how much of a joke we are, how embarrassing we are. If anyone's watched for any other clubs, I'd just like to say that, you know, when you're paying for a season ticket that's more expensive than Liverpool, more expensive than Chelsea, I'm in the Steve Ball, so my season ticket is £935. So far, I've paid £935 for a point. You know what? If we're paying £400 or £500 and this is the way we're being treated, you'd think, okay.
Yeah, people don't buy season tickets for the point per pound ratio, do they? But you have to be given some form of entertainment. I don't pay season ticket to see flipping Bruno Fernandes, I was going to say Kevin De Bruyne. I don't pay to see Erling Haaland. I see it. I go to see Wolves games to see my team try and upset the apple cart, and we're just constantly becoming the butt of the jokes in the Premier League now. I can't even enjoy football in the general scheme of things now. I can't even enjoy West Brom getting beat 3-2 away at Southampton tonight, because football in general for me is so sour and toxic now, with VAR, ticket pricing, FFP, that World Cup draw on Friday. It's just, what is football offering me as a paying customer? Because my football club isn't offering me entertainment. It's causing me more mental stress than should ever really be acceptable for an entertainment product. I don't know where you go from here, but they've got a hold on me. That when it comes to summer, I don't see how I can't renew, because football is the only opportunity I have nowadays to spend any time with my father, and it's what I go to work for. But there has to become a point where you have to take a stand and say enough's enough.
With us, it's not just a football club that we support. It's like a religion. It's ingrained in you, and it's so difficult to shake that off. Now, unfortunately, I think Folsom are actually intelligent enough to understand that, and that's why they take the piss so much, because they know that they can. Because we touched on it earlier, don't buy your Sudo crap. But regardless of what Jeff Shee, Folsom, etc. do, there's still going to be Wolves fans that will purchase the kits and the burgers and the pies and the pints and all that sort of stuff, because they just can't help themselves, because some people just love Wolves that much. Like, it's crazy. But like you touched on earlier, Dan, as a fan base, I was going to say we're not stupid, but if you look on Twitter,
we don't help ourselves at times, do we?
But we don't demand to be competing for trophies season in, season out. We don't demand to be signing the best players in the world. We don't demand to play in a 60,000 all-seater stadium that's all singing and all dancing. But what we do demand is a bit of honesty, a bit of respect, a bit of hard work, and a team that competes on and off the pitch. Now, at the moment, we're not competing on the pitch, and we're not competing off the pitch either. So, by off the pitch, you just look at the stadium. It's dated, it's old, it's crumbling, it's falling down, it's not safe. That Steve Bull stand is a disaster waiting to happen. You look at the academy, you've got all the other local academies, West Brom, Blues, Coventry. They're catching us up, if not overtaking us. There's rumours that we're going to lose our Cat 1 status and go down to Cat 2. That's going to be a massive loss, or a massive sort of negative impact on our community, on our people, on these young lads that are playing in grassroots football now. You know, we're founder members of the Football League. We shouldn't be running a Cat 2 academy if it gets to that. We shouldn't be sitting on 2 points in the Premier League after, 15 games now, 14, 15 games, whatever. We shouldn't be sitting in a stadium that's crumbling down, and God forbid there's a surge of people or anything in that Steve Ball stand, because I can't stress enough, it's a fucking disaster waiting to happen. So, we're not deluded. We're not saying we need to be challenging Chelsea, Liverpool, Man City, Arsenal, season in, season out. We need to be winning the FA Cup, the League Cup. But you've got to understand that with the way that the football economy is now, we are a club that could comfortably, season in, season out, be in that category of teams. Let's not even say 8th. Let's just say that category of teams between 10th, 14th and 15th. We could be there season in, season out. And to be fair, that's probably our par. That's where we should be, where we should be hitting. A cup run, a cup quarter final every now and then. You know, if we're still in with a shout of Europe in March, we'd take that as a fan base. So we're not asking for a lot. But these clowns are under-delivering so much without a care in the world. And what makes it worse is when you look at the position that we got ourselves into, now whether Jeff wants to sit there and say it was by luck and it wasn't sustainable and this, that, and the other, the fact of the matter is we was in the position we were in for 3 seasons on the spin, and with just a little bit more nous, a little bit more bravery, and a little bit more football and business intelligence, we could have cracked the Champions League. We certainly could have had more than 1 season in Europe. But Jeff Shee, Folsom, and the people that support Jeff Shee within Wolverhampton Wanderers Football Club didn't show enough intelligence, nous, and bollocks. And that's why we are where we are now, because they understood that as long as they were still getting the 140 or 50 or 60 or 70 million that they get each season from the TV revenue, they was happy with that, because they can still make their little profit. They can whore out the badge around the world, and that would have done them. But they fucked themselves over by resting on the laurels of hoping that the 3 promoted teams will be absolutely dog shit, and it's bit them on the arse. And now it's bit them on the arse, they ain't got a fucking clue what to do. And it's as simple as that.
You know, as well, what the constant decline of the club, right? I spoke to people behind the club, and I spoke to Russ Jones a lot. And there was, and I used the term was, you know, really good people at Wolves, like people with good ideas to push initiatives forward, with ideas to improve infrastructure. Yeah, and every single one, as soon as any idea, any initiative, as soon as he got to Jeff, stopped, like stone dead, right? There's a reason why. So, I mean, there's too many to mention, but there's a reason why over the last 3-4 years, people have been leaving behind the scenes, left, right, and centre to take other jobs, because the Jeff is just a constant barrier. And I've been given stories, you know, before about at Compton, you know, substandard facilities for the youth kit, and Jeff's refused to just buy a simple container, or you know, under 21 teams coming and making complaints to the Premier League because Compton can't offer what the Premier League requirements are for under 21 away teams coming. The fan zone, I remember Russ saying that, you know, he got ideas to do up the fan zone, and there was plans for that. There was plans for new screens, the Molyneux. Nah, none of it passed the Jeff test, because all he kept saying was, well, what's my return on investment on all of these things? He's obsessed with just having what's going to be my bang for my buck on this, rather than just, you know, allowing us to have some nice things, showing progression in infrastructure as a club. No, it doesn't work. And that's led on year after year to where we are now. I mean, you'd think a newly promoted team would be sat here on 2 points, wouldn't you, after this amount of games?
I wouldn't even say that, Price. I think that a promoted side, we're looking 5-6, but at least one lucky win at home, a couple of draws, and we ain't anywhere near that. It's embarrassing.
Yeah, probably that. I mean, what you wouldn't expect, right, is a team that's going to enter, or should be entering its 9th year as a Premier League team, to be as catastrophically bad as we are, and that's all on, as we've said, that's all on Jeff. He's just that year 2, 3, and 4 that we had. Just seems like it's like just some anomalies now at the minute. I know he's mentioned luck and all that bollocks, but it just seems like he thought, well, we'll put some money in to get us up and running, and then that'll just leave us set then. And then we do this safe, self-sustainable malark where, you know, if you can do it right, like look at like a Brighton, for example, or a Bournemouth, they can do it right, but we haven't done it right, clearly. Doesn't work.
Why are we surprised at this? What we've had, Nuno got the boot. Let's not say he left, because we all know that's an out of bollocks. Nuno got the boot. He was promised a war chest. He was promised a war chest when he signed his contract. COVID come along. Fair enough. The goalpost probably had to change a bit, but they had to change for everyone, not just us. Everybody was in the same boat. Bruno Lage comes in. We were nearly fourth at one point. We got to the January window, and Bruno Lage went public and said, I want a centre forward. Within a week, Bruno Lage has gone back on that. I don't need a centre forward. Clearly told by our great leader that you don't go public and you don't ask for players here. We finished 10th, I think, something like that, when we were on the cusp of getting into the Champions League. Now, to me, that's scuttling your own ship. One player. You could have got a lone centre forward, one player. That's all he asked for. The following season, he gets a bullet. Lopetegui comes in. He's clearly told, we're going to go for things with you here. Save us. And then in the summer, we'll give you a war chest. It's obvious he was told that because there's no way on earth he's coming here. He's come and he's called him out publicly. Another manager. We then get the shit show of Gary O'Neill, which is just papering over the cracks. He was on about 12 grand a week to start with, and he was the cheap option, and he kept him up. He kept him up again. Following season, we get Vitor Pereira. Vitor Pereira comes in. It's all rosy. He saves us. It's rinse and repeat. These people don't want to compete for anything because by competing for things, you have to have a better squad, a bigger squad. That costs money. Now, they don't want to spend any more money than they have to. As one of the lads said here a few minutes ago, the prime objective of this football club is 17th. 17th place is perfect because that means they don't have to have a big squad. They're not actually competing for anything other than the odd little cup, flurry in a cup. But they're not competing. They're not spending on huge squads or anything. Run with a little squad. Keep it there. Keep us in 17th. The three that come up always go back down. We're laughing. We'll just keep generating the TV money and what have you. We've got our nice advertising thing going on for Fosun, saving the mother company an absolute fortune. Why are we surprised? This happens year on year, and now we're in this shit show. And going back to the protests, the amount of times, and it pisses me off now, really pisses me off. People say, be careful what you wish for. What have we got to be careful about now?
That we only score one goal every 10 games instead of however many it was before last night. It's
I still
and
get
don't forget Sutty as well. Sutty, don't forget as well. Going to your point about the owners not backing the team. Do you remember when Gary O'Neill had the injury crisis in his season? Right, we had all of our forward line wiped out, and he tried to get Armando Broja on loan. Can't remember. Was he at Fulham at the time? I can't remember where he was, or Chelsea. Not a world beater, obviously, but we just needed a play, didn't we? Right? Couldn't even
that FA Cup run.
Yeah, and we ended up with Nathan Fraser playing up front.
What about an FA Cup?
And Chouameni. All we needed was that one extra player to get us through an FA Cup quarter final with Coventry, right? And we couldn't. They couldn't even sanction that, a loan move, right, for just a subpar striker, just an established body to get in. They couldn't even sort that out, and we were desperate for someone at the time.
Scuttled the ship again. Scuttled the ship.
Yeah.
Purposely running your ship aground so you don't have to spend any more money on it. Get to 14th, don't go any higher than that. We could push for a European place. That'll cost us money on a bigger squad. I don't give a shit what anybody thinks of me in these chats and social media and what have you. We'll be here a long time after they've gone. That's fact. We will. Because this club is almost, it's like our drug of choice. It's like being hooked on heroin. Once you're in, it's very difficult to get out. Very difficult. I applaud some of them that have said, I've given my season ticket up. I've had enough of this shit. I really struggle not going to watch Wolves. I really struggle. I don't know why. Because 9 times out of 10, yesterday, I stood in the South Bank laughing at my own team. I was laughing at them. They were so poor. It was embarrassing.
You either laugh or you cry, don't you? That's how embarrassing it's become recently. I mean, John-Rick Bellegarde tried his absolute, run his socks off to a degree last night. One of the players this season for me that has come out with a little bit of credit. I think the majority as a whole have been a shambles, not fit to wear the shirt like some of the chants were last night. But then you see the sort of calibre of the way that Man United steamrolls in the second half, the way that we were cut apart at will by Bruno Fernandes, Patrick Mbeumo, Matthias Cunha. It was embarrassing. That third goal, the way Mason Mount just ran in behind our 5-man defence. You would have thought we'd had a 2-man defence, how easy they cut through us at will last night. And then the penalty was just another piece of piss on the cake, wasn't it? What was your thoughts on the performance, Rich, over the 90?
Fucking dreadful as usual, but then it's what we're expecting as of yet. And lately, it's just like, it just gets worse, doesn't it? You always have hope. You try to be positive. You know, obviously we're in a group chat. We take a piss, we have a laugh, and we put some random predictions in, and we always hope for the best. We really do. We want the best for the club. We want to start winning games because losing every week is fucking sickening, isn't it? And you're dreading a text message from the lads who support, you know, the bigger clubs and all that shit, you know, mugging you off because, God, how shit are you? 2 points, 15 games gone, another easy win, and just calamity. Everything, you know, everything's gone out the window with poor keeping, poor defending, poor marking. Can't pass a ball, can't tackle, can't head a ball up front, can't bring it down. It's just, this hasn't just happened overnight. This has got to be something inside of this club where they've just all gone, do you know what, I can't be asked anymore. I'm done. I'm over it. And it can't be because of the management, obviously, who's come in and here and there, but it's just frustrating because you know that you're turning up. Like I said, there's loads of people spending a lot of money a year to be watching this football club, and we're getting a piss taken out of us constantly for it. And it just ain't fun anymore, is it? Like I said, you don't want to watch a football game laughing at your team because you go, you're that fucking bad. You're just giggling to yourself going, this can't get any worse. Well, then it does normally, you know.
I said in our WhatsApp group yesterday, didn't I, that if this was a Sunday League team, it would be close to folding. It wouldn't last the season, would it? Because the majority of these players have already, one, either checked out, or two, have just that void of any confidence that they can't fulfil their duty as a professional footballer. You mentioned it there about players who can't win headers or hold the ball up. What was your thoughts on Strand Larsen's performance last night, George, and the fact that he was jeered off when he was subbed?
I mean, obviously last season, Strand Larsen was, you know, not that popular at the start of the year under Gary O'Neill. You know, I think he scored about 4 goals start of the season before Pereira come in. And he's always been sort of a divisive character. Obviously, when Newcastle come in for him, turned his head, and obviously he's going to win it. Like, as Sutty mentioned, these players aren't bothered about Wolves because they know there's no progression. You know, they know that there's no kind of future rather than just sitting in 17. So, look, he hasn't been good. I thought against Villa, he was, well, as it says there, I thought against Villa he was brilliant, but Forest, appalling. Yesterday, appalling. But I think because he is the main man, he's getting singled out. A lot of attention's going on him. I'm not trying to defend him because I think his performance has been shocking. Do I think Tolu's any better? Probably not. That's probably the reason he's still starting. But yeah, I mean, look, as I said, you can blame the players if you want, but let's be honest, those boos should probably be more focused towards the owners. Will it be arsed when he leaves? Probably not. Will we get any money for him? Not 60 million. We should get some up. But yeah, I mean, he doesn't really, I don't know, he can't hold the ball up. Doesn't really get into positions anymore. You know, I'm sure if he got a few chances, he'd put them away, but we don't have any wingers to create chances for him. He didn't create any for himself. So if you're a striker that's going to rely on wingers to create chances, we don't have any wingers, then you're useless, aren't you? So, yeah, I don't know. It's just, it's tough to blame individual players when there's so much going on wrong upstairs. But yeah, he's got to improve.
Yeah, I was going to say, he wouldn't be getting the shit like a lot of these footballers wouldn't be if he put the effort in. He's not showing effort in a Wolves shirt. That's the critical, you know, part we want. We want effort, whether he's bang average or not. It doesn't matter. He's a great footballer, but at the moment he's not obviously at the races. Yeah, his head got turned at the start of the year, but go up, move on with it. You got a new contract, you got more money. Play it hard. Yes, they're not playing for the badge, which is the most disheartening things for us, because we'd all do it for fucking free because we love the club. We'd love to do this kind of shit. He's getting paid 80, 90, 100 grand a week to do this. And he can't be bothered to put a shift in. Like, it's just so frustrating to sit and watch people that just aren't asked to play for a club.
Would you say John Arias is putting in effort? Would you say Mascara's putting in effort when he's diving all on the floor? You know what I mean? There's plenty of them I don't think are putting in that much effort. Agbadou, he's always straight down the tunnel, never stays and claps the fans. So I'm not trying to defend Larson, but there's more players than him not putting in effort.
No, I'm not singling him out, saying he's the only one. It's the entire squad. It's a lack of effort, a lack of hustle. Everything seems to be just doing the bare minimum to get around, like a jog here, a jog there, or I might jump for an header. Like, I'm pretty sure Dan said last night, how many headers last night did he go for? He ain't even looking. He's running the opposite way, jumping into the man who's trying to win the header.
He's always lost the battle before it's a yard near him.
It's what I said, wasn't it? Even Warwick Davis would win more headers than bloody Tran Larson at the minute.
Yeah,
but I think with him, right? I think there's many things for Strand Larson at the minute. I think, like, obviously, yeah, he had his head turned in the summer. His head's probably still thinking I should be playing Champions League football with Newcastle right now. But it is also there's a bit of yin and yang here. So yeah, he's clearly playing like a guy who doesn't want to be here, feels he should be somewhere else. But on the other hand as well, we've got zip creativity in the team, right? Whereas last year he was actually getting chances presented to him, and obviously 14 goals would say that he was taking some of them. But this year, right, I watched him, and I was watching yesterday, and the guy, right, he's one of these guys. He's 6'2" or something, and when the ball's in the air, he suddenly becomes 4'2". I know I made the Warwick Davis joke, but he just seemed as though when the ball's in the air, he never wants to jump for it. He just makes a half-assed effort of leaning into his marker, doesn't do anything. And then maybe then the players, any support midfielders don't bother going forward because they know the ball's just going to go straight back anyway because he's going to lose his header every time. I remember saying this actually when he joined us last season, and I wasn't convinced about him for the first few months. I always said his body language gives off the impression of like he can't be asked, right? I took that back a bit, when he started banging the goals in, but obviously he looks even worse now, right? Because he's got the body language of someone who can't be asked in a team that is considerably, significantly underperforming, right? And fans can spot that. We've spotted it. Otherwise, he wouldn't be jeered on the way off, would he? We can see that he's for whatever reason, it's not working for him for many reasons, but ultimately, his body language shows that he's not putting in what we think is 100% effort, right? And then we all saw him, turn back at the South Bank when he got jeered off, right? That's not going to win. And it's hard to say that when you're in the heat of the moment, right? But he would have found it hard not to look round. But at the same time, right, that's not going to do him zero favours. And apparently he started saying something when he got in the dugout, didn't he? I think from what I've read, he was saying something in the direction of the South Bank. So he's won no friends there. Likewise, Arias was oblivious probably to the jeers when he was going off, just like he's oblivious to a football when he's on the pitch as well. He got no idea. He had no idea. But they're the two ones of the who are getting the fans back up right now, Arias and Strand Larson. It's quite funny in a way actually, because we all said at the time Jeff did the right thing by rejecting that £55 million bid for him because it comes so late in the day in the transfer window. And ironically now, the one thing that we thought Jeff did good in rejecting that bid, we're going to hammer him for now, saying he should have fucking sold him because of how shit he's been this season.
I still can't grasp how they went with the line that they didn't have enough time to bring in a replacement when there's that sort of money on the table that you've got due in your account, you find a striker to fulfill that role. And the fact that we had 55 million on the table for Strand Larson and we've rejected it, it's like you just say, it's a jog. Even when we think he's done something right, he gets it wrong.
But then doesn't that again show just the lack of planning and vision that, okay, yeah, Strand Larson was doing well at the time, but I would like to think that a Premier League football club would have some sort of, I don't know, let's call it a short list of replacement players. So if somebody was to leave or get a serious injury, that they can replace them relatively quickly. You know, it's not like we're talking about grassroots level. Oh, have we got 70 quid to pay this striker every week to come and help us out the shit? You've got the dough there, like, to go and get a replacement. And even if your right back, for example, is in the form of his life and is your best player, surely there's some sort of contingency plan in place that if he were to leave, you've got your options already lined up, so you can make that move. I don't know. I don't work.
It all depends on what computer game Jeff's playing at the time. I just need to whether he's playing Fortnite or FIFA, and whether he has any idea of what footballer to bring in next. Because he's mentioned before, hasn't he, that he's a regular player of Football Manager. He's used that sort of database for ideas on players, which is why I think he may have been sold on Fabio Silva. For me, it was calamity at the time that Wolves still weren't an established Premier League side in my eyes, that we should have been spending £35 million on an 18-year-old who'd only scored one professional goal in his career at that time. It's all hindsight. This is the biggest problem, isn't it, with podcasts like ourselves, that we all work on hindsight. But like you said, there's no contingency planning. There's no proactivity when it comes to recruitment. It's just an absolute shit show from top to bottom. And the common denominator is Jeff Shee. If folks don't have any ambition to take this club forward in any aspect, the first thing that we demand as a minimum is the removal of that fucking moonhead you can see behind Luke in that picture there, in a Jess Moxley shaped body. Read some of the comments from the Athletics. Tim Spears over the last 24 hours. Obviously, Wolves' 8th defeat in a row equals their longest ever losing streak. 137 years since they started playing league football. With 2 points, Wolves have the joint lowest tally after 15 matches of any English league season in the top 4 tiers ever. No team has ever been worse than Wolves. And people didn't want to protest. No team has ever been worse than Wolves at this stage in an English league season in the top 4 tiers ever. You're paying massive amount of money, travelling miles upon miles to see this team. And the line, no team has ever been worse than Wolves, has been published nationally. And you don't want to give 15 minutes of your time to participate in a boycott to send a message to the owners. That's your decision. I'll say it as is. I don't particularly care, like Sutty says. I don't particularly like myself at the best time, so I don't give a toss whether you like me. Let's move on to the next one. Tim Spears asks, which following activities would you prefer to partake in? Have your hair nose plucked out by tweezers? Take a rubbish bag out and bin juice leaks all over your shoes? Ask a woman when a baby is due only for it to transpire that she's not pregnant? Or watch Wolves play? It's not an easy choice. No one wants to watch Wolves right now. Not their fans, not even manager Rob Edwards. I'd be angry if I was a Wolves supporter, Rob Edwards said after the defeat against Nottingham Forest, the 15th from their last 18 Premier League games. It's not, though, Wolves players don't care necessarily, although there may be an element of this, or that they've been managed badly. There's definitely an element of this. Or that the team's tactics are awful. It's that the players they purchased are woefully incompetent to the extent that in 1 or 2 cases, you find yourself seriously questioning whether football is the right sport for them. Collectively, they are hapless, hopeless, and unable to attack or defend to a Premier League standard. Apart from that, they're fine. It goes on and on. Perhaps imagine watching an episode of Call the Midwife once a week, sometimes twice, from now until May. You used to love Call the Midwife, but right now it's absolutely turgid stuff. You've got to watch it outside in the freezing cold, plus you have to travel to be at the screening, and you feel obliged to turn up because you've already paid the minimum of £735. Going back to the points tally at the moment, Wolves on 2 points after 15 games. You look at that transfer window on the right of the screen there. I think it's 7 or 8 incomings, including the permanent signing Strand Larson in the summer. Over a dozen players who left in the summer, from Cunha to the likes of Pedro Lima, who went on loan to Porto with a net spend of -2 million. It's a shambles, absolute shambles. Look at the Fosun transfer investment since the 2021 season. 9 million, 17 million. They made a £74 million profit in 23-24, a £2 million profit last summer, and then a 25 million profit in the 25-26 accounts. How can people not want to involve themselves in a protest when you're reading those numbers and stats that I've just read out for you there? Let us know in the comment section. Let us know at Wolves Fancast on social media. The Daily Telegraph released an article saying, other than straight to the Championship, it's hard to know where the club is going from here in a season that could be the Premier League's worst. You've sold the team, now sell the club. Is the statement that keeps getting sung in various stadiums and away ends wherever we travel across the country. The only sort of positive that we can take from that 24 hours is that Wolves have shrewdly appointed Rui Pedro Silva to the backroom staff. What was your thoughts on that, Sutty? That Rui Pedro Silva's been invited back to the club. What will his impression be when he walks back into Compton tomorrow and sees the state from when he left?
Oh, he's in for a shock, hell of a shock, because it's nothing like when Nuno was here. Obviously, Nuno had critics towards the end of his tenure here, but we've never replaced Nuno. We've never replaced the ethic that he brought here, the commitment to work hard. You didn't work hard for Nuno, you were booted out the door. As simple as that. I'll tell you a quick story, just very briefly. I was away at Man City on Monday night. It was the night that Willy Bolly got sent off after about 15 minutes. We lost 3-0. And there's for anybody that hasn't been to Man City, there's a big Asda over the road, and I was there early, so I went in, and there was 2 Wolves employees sat there having a cup of tea with all their gear on and tabards, and I got talking to him, and it was a kit man, and I was having a good chat with him. I said, "What's it like in there then?" He said, "This man, when he walks in the changing room, everybody goes quiet. You listen to what he says. If you don't listen to what he says, you're out the door." He is in the kit man's, I can't remember his name now, it's escaped me. He said, "But I've been here 34 years, and this man commands a dressing room like nobody I've ever seen, and everybody listens to him. The structure in the club, he's the boss, and everybody knows he's the boss." We ain't had that since.
Jeff hasn't allowed it though, has he?
No.
Jeff hasn't allowed
Jeff was threatened by
that sort
Nuno.
of presence within the club that throws back resilience to his decisions.
Yeah, well, Nuno was hero worship, wasn't he? And Jeff didn't like that. Nuno was getting a bit too not big for his boots, but he did started to get a little bit prickly when he wasn't given the tools he was promised, and rightly so. He'd earned those tools, and it's been bad ever since, unfortunately. Keep going back to Jeff. There's only one thing that's the problem within this club, actually inside the club, and he's sat in the upper offices and on the halfway line on match day, and until you get him out, nothing's going to change. We're just going to keep tumbling and tumbling, because he is a cancer within this club.
How do we get him out?
We need to remove him.
How? That's the question. How? There's got to be
because you have to keep protesting and boycotting and keep on with the message that, as a minimum, we want Jeff Shee removed from his post. He has hoodwinked the owners into thinking things are better than they are. When relegation happens and they see those accounts drastically change, they'll then realise how much of a fraud he has been as a chairman. you have to keep pushing the message that Jeff Shee has to be removed from his post.
So, but like, how can we get maximum impact out of that? Because we only play at home once every 2 weeks. It needs, you know what I mean? Like, the ball needs to continue to roll. You know, is it something that we do on social media? Do we say, I don't know, okay, every Wolves fan, change your profile picture to Winnie the Pooh, or something along those lines? I mean, I know we've attacked Volson's Facebook ratings, and they've had to turn off their comments on Twitter because of all the Taiwan flags that was getting posted. But is that sort of the new age of football fan rebellion? Because we only get that opportunity once every 2 weeks to do a physical protest, which, in my opinion, we have to do every single week. Like I've mentioned, and everybody knows on every show, I gave up my season ticket when Jeff was ripping off the most vulnerable members of our communities, the disabled and the children. But I'll still be at the protests if they're happening every single home game. But do we need a new form of protest, a digital protest, an online protest? Is that how we sort of get more traction behind this?
I think there's loads of options on the table, to be honest. I mean, don't forget, yesterday was just the start.
Mm-hmm.
It really was just the start, right?
I was speaking to is it Newey from the All Gold Pack. He said this is phase 1, and there's a phase 2, there's a phase 3, there's a phase 4. So
That took 1 week to organise yesterday.
I'm not going to ask if it's you, Sutton, if you want to reveal yourself, but whoever started that Twitter account and got it on the ball, fair play to them, because someone had to do it.
It was impressive the amount of numbers that actually participated in that boycott protest last night in short notice. I spoke to you about how many weeks ago, Price, about how things were stalling with discussions with the trust and other fan accounts that I was dealing with. Thankfully, something actually sparked a bit of a fire yesterday, and it needs to continue because it can't be allowed to falter. Like Sutty mentioned earlier, and a lot of people are mentioning, the fan base is the only constant that will always be with this club. Fosun will come and go, the players will go, managers will come and go. But if the fans don't continue with the protesting to hound this chairman out, one day we might not have a club to support.
Yeah. And do you know what, Dan? It genuinely could get to that position. Let's not beat around the bush.
I'd like to think that we're a big enough club that it wouldn't get to that point where you may have to start fresh with some form of new football entity as a scratch, but it shouldn't get anywhere near that level.
I think folks want to be thankful, really, right? They haven't bought, but this isn't happening. They haven't bought like an Italian, German team, because they'd have been all over them right from the. They don't allow this sort of thing over there, right? We're a bit more lenient. We are as like English football fans. You know, it takes a lot to get us well, but the feeling that we are now. I mean, what I'd love is for like just a complete stadium boycott, like a home match, and just no one goes in. That's like the utopian vision.
Shrewsbury in the cup, there's the perfect opportunity for that. We could play Shrewsbury at home in the cup in front of 4,000, 5,000, 6,000 people. I don't see any.
That's too much.
It is, but like I mentioned earlier, there's people who just can't help themselves, and they have to go.
Yeah.
So, like, Stu will be there. Come on, let's not be daft. Stu will be there in his orange trousers and his Christmas Wolves jumper or whatever. But so you've got to account for those people, and do you know what? Just leave them be, because you never change their opinion. I was going to say a bit like the COVID jabbers, but let's not get into that.
I know what you mean, because like when it comes to season tickets, right? Even if the price goes up, some people will just pay it, right? For whatever reason, right? You'll have certain levels of people. Some people who will have the money and will think it's worth it, so they'll pay it. Some people who unfortunately don't really have the money, but like you say, just can't let go and they can't not go. They will sacrifice other things to make sure that they can have a season ticket and they'll go. Because some people, right, they'll think, watch you, the season that I don't go, right, we do something, right, and they'll miss out and they'll never forgive themselves. So they can't let go of that season ticket. And they'll keep renewing. So even if the price was to stay the same, right, for next season, the championship, they'll still renew because they'll be like, oh, I don't want to miss out on us getting promoted, right? So you'll have that mindset of people who don't want to go. But you're right in terms of the FA Cup game, right? Because that's an optional game now, unless you're in the Cup scheme, I suppose. But that's an optional game, right, for people who have to pay extra to go to that. So you've got the option there now to just ignore that game, don't go to it. Now I remember we've had the game before. Was it a second round cup game? Was it a Wigan at home? We had like 4,000 people there, or something. It was like a complete barren stadium.
Was that like Oldham County in the JPT?
Something like that. I might be getting it mixed up, but you know, that's the sort of levels we should be aspiring to. Like, just basically everyone just ignore that the game's even happening, right?
Well, we've got 2 games before Shrewsbury. Well, 2 home games before Shrewsbury at home. Now, for me, that means you've got 2 good opportunities in the league to make more noise, get more traction on the protest that was happening on last night. And then the grand crescendo, Shrewsbury at home in the Cup, when Strand Larsen's kissing the badge in front of 450 people, that will just send the greatest message.
The biggest thing though will be Premier League matches, because that's where all the exposure is, really, right? So like why we did what we did with the banners yesterday, because it's a Sky Live game, right? Was probably the only game on in its time slot at the time, showing around the world. Man United are a big team. They'll be watching that in Thailand to America, right? I'm not sure that the banners were picked up on Sky at the time, but they've definitely been picked up by other media, because of, you know, we saw it in articles or what have you. So anything that we do, right, whether that be the flags, the banners, the tennis balls on the pitch, whatever it may be, right, the exposure will be at Premier League games, because that's where all the TV audience is. Right, so any boycott, if we're gonna like keep not going to the games until 15th minute every time, as an example, that'll be picked up worldwide on Premier League matches. Not so much an FA Cup, you know, 3rd round tie, but it's got, what we do has got to be like for Premier League games, and even the better if it's live on Sky as well.
Yeah, I don't think we've got any home games put up on Sky. I think West Ham and Brentford are both 3 o'clock on a Saturday, and
the away fans can do their bit. Can't they? The away fans can do their bit. Anyone who's going to the away fans, you know, and that's a smaller number. But
yeah, going to the next 3. So
in the sort of last half an hour, the latest minutes have been released from the most recent fan advisory board meeting, which took place on the 27th of November, with the likes of Jeff Shee, Matt Wald, Dave Wood, Fan Services Manager, Martin Willis of the Wolves Disabled Supporters Association, Keith Bickley of the Wolves 1877 Trust, and many others. One of the lines that is as a part of the minutes is in regards to the potential sale of Wolves. Jeff Shee reiterated that the question of selling the club lies entirely with Fosun rather than himself. He confirmed that potential buyers contact the club regularly but have been turned away, and that the owners are not actively seeking to sell. Football model recruitment and end of a cycle. Jeff explained that he considers the previous 9 to 10 years as a completed cycle defined by coach-led recruitment, reliance on specific markets, and strong dependence on individual coaches. While this model reached great heights, it also carried significant structural risk. Recruitment in the most recent window has not been good enough, he acknowledged, and has contributed to the team's current position.
Yeah, which is all well and good, but it's not just the recruitment that's the issue, is it? And he's just sort of I don't say under the carpet, but there's a lot of strands that we need to look at. Yes, you've got the recruitment, but you also need to look at the investment into the youth academy, the facilities, the investment into the city and the communities and all that sort of stuff, the match day experience, the fan experience, you value for money. There's so much to look into. And my concern is, I just don't think they give a shit. I really don't think that they care.
One of the other topics, sorry, join me back in a second. Wolves women in the academy. The club confirmed that Wolves women will receive the investment required if they achieve promotion. Fan advisory board members welcome this reassurance. Jeff also stated unequivocally that the academy will not relinquish its Category 1 status. This clarity was seen as important in countering ongoing misinformation. Why is it taking the potential of Wolves to lose the Category 1 accreditation instead of properly investing in the academy, which will be a huge revenue stream for mass profit if run properly?
You've only got to have one come through.
Yeah.
One come through every.
Well, you look at the Morgan Gibbs White sale would have helped massively with FFP when he was sold.
I mean, we're in a hotbed of football talent as well. The area that we're in, the Black Country, the West Midlands.
I'm long retired, Luke.
But when you look at the recruitment model that the academy are using at the minute, it comes as no surprise why, in my opinion, we're quite poor at developing players. I think the ethos is wrong. I think what they're looking for is wrong. Their strategy is wrong. But again, it's like you mentioned earlier, Dan. It's all reactive, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's relegation's coming. We might lose our Cat 1 status and go down to Cat 2, which obviously impacts on the amount of funding that we get given for the academy. And then obviously that impacts what we can invest back into the academy, the amount of staff members that you can have, the certain types of staff that you can have within the academy. But it's too late. It's too late now. Like the time that you're now worrying and thinking about it, the damage has already been done. Because it's that reactive bollocks all the time. And the reason, in my opinion, that they're not proactive and on the front foot is because the way that the club is being led.
Yeah.
And like you mentioned earlier, Dan, every issue and every gripe and every poor situation within this football club always points back to one person. Jeffrey fucking shit.
Let me just say one topic from the minutes from the latest fan advisory board in regards to performance, relegation risk and financial stability. FAB members expressed serious concern about the possibility of relegation and what it could mean for the club, the city and its employees. Jeff Shee accepted the gravity of the situation, but urged that it remains early in the season with many games still to play. Internally, staff and players believe results can be improved under the new head coach. This was before the Forest game, just take that into account. He emphasised that Wolves are financially stable, even in a relegation scenario. There are no plans for staff redundancies or reductions in community programmes based purely on divisional status. Instead, the club would focus on rebuilding and returning at the earliest opportunity.
Because the club don't give no money to the community things anyway. That's all through Wolves Foundation, who's its own business, its own entity that have to raise their own funds through the goodwill of people within the city. If it was up to Folsom, there wouldn't be a Wolves Foundation, and that's a fact.
No.
So we can fuck off with all that community bollocks, because I ain't buying it. Geezer's a bell end.
Sutty, final thoughts.
Well, Luke's just said this club's become very, very reactive in everything it does. We're not proactive at anything now. There's no plan. If you're proactive, you've got a good plan in place, haven't you? We haven't got a plan. If they've got their heads screwed on, they'll be planning now for next year. A big fire sale in January and making sure you've got proven championship players that are going to get you straight back up.
Characters, leaders.
Yeah, we've got no leaders on the pitch.
Some absolute snotters in midfield.
Look, we've always had a Muscat and people like that who are dirty gets who are going to die for the shirt. But
I hate John McGinn and what he did against us the other weekend, but we need players like that who will run through brick walls for the club and the shirt and not the clown at the top.
Trouble you got though, Dan, is they've been sold this project of come here for 2 years, play well, you'll get a big move, we'll get our money. There's no affiliation to that badge. Nothing. They're not bothered about the badge. They're not bothered about me. They're not bothered about you. They're looking at their next move. They're not going to win things here because there's no ambition here. That is the blueprint. That blueprint's failed dramatically now, and it's got to change. And the only way it's going to change is if we house this bastard at the top.
Points at George there on the screen. That's a bit harsh, Sutty, bloody hell.
If you want to blind me, if that makes you feel better.
Yeah. I never heard of you until recently, George. It's all on you.
Yeah, I mean, if it was up to me, if I was Jeff Shee now, I'd say to resolve the situation, maybe make the away travel free. Maybe say FA Cup, you can come in for free, stuff like that. There's no communication at all. Like, why not release a statement and just say, yeah, we messed up. This is the plan in place, but they don't care.
It's too far gone for that, George. It's too far gone for that now. Jeff Shear's burnt all bridges. He, not figuratively, should be drowned in the water under said bridge. But that's another story. Rich, your final thoughts before we close it?
I just appreciate people like you always doing this kind of thing where we do start these protests and stuff, because this is where it's got to happen. And if it ain't for people like this, shit just gets worse and worse and worse. And then unfortunately you end up like these football clubs that go out of business, and then we lose our football club. So this has to start now. We have to fucking make a stand about, this entity of a football club is way more important than fucking Jeff Shee and his little fan base that he's got in this bloody stadium. The bloke's a rat. He needs out. We want him out. We want Fosun out purely. Yes, don't get me wrong. There's a lot of rose-tinted glasses that people are wearing in the stadium because we were in Europe. They got us out of the championship. Yes, they did. That's fucking 5 years ago. That 5-year spiral, we got to the top, and now with that spiral's, it's coming quickly to the bottom. And you don't want to start watching, football down into League One, into League Two, and then go, fucking hell, we're in, the Conference North, Conference South things, or we go bust. It's unfortunately like Sutty and myself, you've seen football in that age gap where, Div 4 football and potentially going out of business and shit. There's a lot of people obviously haven't seen it, and it's more apparent than ever now that this can actually happen, and it's a big worry to me, really big worry that we could really end up in the shit. And yeah, it's a double dip. We've done it before. It's fine. We probably as a club we now used to, but we just want more, don't we? We just want more. So whatever we can do as a fan base that can potentially get the snake out of the club and cut the head off without physically doing it ourselves with a knife, then we will do our best to fucking do it. And I appreciate you guys for doing it. I really do, because it had to start somewhere, and it's not too late, is it, to get them out?
Yeah, Price, just to reiterate the bit of pride that you saw before the game last night with the protests and the boycotts, and what we need to do going forward.
Yeah, it's great to get something up and running. It's just the start. Hopefully more people come on board as we go along, and more people put ideas into the pot of things for us to do. And just got to keep it on, really keep it going. Like I said, nothing's going to change after protest number 1. People were thinking that it would, then they're a bit deluded. We need to keep the pressure on, keep the ideas coming. We'll keep the flags going, we'll keep the banners going. It's not going to be Fosun now. It's going to be Jeff out. Is what it is. It's going to be a hell of a lot easier to replace Jeff Shee than it is to replace Fosun, because obviously Fosun's a whole complete sale of owner, whereas Jeff's the one who steered the ship. Jeff's the one who's steering the ship into the biggest fucking icebergs, the way it's going. So he's the one, he's the captain that's got to go. And then we just hope, obviously, is that the replacement is someone with a bit more nous. Like Luke said, doesn't have to be football nous himself, just someone who surrounds himself with good football people at the top as well to progress the club forward. And we'll just put out the clarion call for people who want to join us and be part of the movement. Everyone's welcome.
Thanks for joining myself, Luke, Price, Sutty, George, and Rich on tonight's Wolves Fancast episode. I hope you've taken some form of enjoyment or inspiration from any particular aspect. As I keep saying, we implore you to keep sticking by us, to keep pushing the message that ourselves, our Goal Pack, and all the other supporters groups that are involved in last night's protests and the boycotts going forward, and keep following us at Wolves Fancast on social media for all your latest news in regards to protests and Wolves in general. Have a good rest of your week. As always, up the Wolves.
Who would be a Wolves fan, eh?